Central Rundown. I'm Eric, and with me today is.
I'm Lee.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Dan.
And we're in the home stretch. There's 2.5 weeks of this season. Two teams are dead. Another's trying to also be dead, and then you have the Guardians and the Tigers.
Tigers
There's
won, by the way. They got the strikeout just as we started.
I was about to say, as we were clicking record, Lee was in mid meltdown because the Tigers were trying to blow yet another bullpen lead. And I was actually kind of hoping we would turn on the camera and there would just be like tears or just like Lee with her head down on the desk. Like, it's the Marlins. They're good, right? They're a playoff team.
Oh, yeah. That's what they're known for.
Yep, sure are. Just
Hey, they swept the Yankees, so they're good, right?
Yep, they are now. But all right, let's talk about the standings here. This is just a real weird time of the season because now this is like if this part of the season could be an email. I think we've said that joke a couple of times in the last month. It very much feels that way. But let's see what the standings are. The Tigers have been all year. Have they ever not been first in the division?
There was the first few days we were not in the lead because we started off 0-3. And then for like 6 hours at some point in like April or May, Cleveland took ahead. But besides that, it's been pretty much.
Yeah. Then you have Cleveland, 6.5 games back. Royals slipping, 10 games back. The Twins have not only slipped, they fell down the stairs. And then the White Sox, who were playing better baseball in the second half of the season, so good for them. Playoff odds. Tigers have not really changed because it's really hard to improve your 99% chances of the playoffs. The Guardians, they have a chance. They have a 7% chance. Weirder things have happened in the world. You have the Royals, who, well, that hasn't done much. And then the Twins and the White Sox have been out of it for quite some time now.
I believe the Twins are now officially eliminated.
Oh, darn it. And I was giving up so much hope. The wild card. Cleveland's 3.5 games back. 12 games left. Is that about right?
Jake. Yeah.
I think it's 13.
Something like that. They have how many? They have to beat the Roy. Like they just have one team ahead of them, and so they need Seattle and Texas to basically just forget how to play. They can do it, but there is. I guess we'll talk about it. We can probably talk about it now. There is a chance because in the last 2 weeks of the season, the Guardians and the Tigers play 6 times, and it's a 6.5 game lead. So I don't know, Dan. Why don't you tell me why the Guardians are going to do what they always do and sweep and be the most annoying team for the last 2 weeks of the season?
It's the Guardians. I think I mentioned this maybe on last week's episode. Have been playing meaningful baseball games really since the back half of August. They've been playing largely either teams in their division or other teams that they've been competing with in the wild card or some combination of both. The Rangers, the Royals, uh, you Tampa Bay, etc. And they've kind of held their own during this period in time. They haven't necessarily gone on any huge streak or anything like that, but they've stayed consistent and they've stayed in the running. And in this last week, they played two division opponents. They're maybe not the most offensively inclined division opponents, but they've gone 6-1 over the course of this week, playing some of their best baseball, and the starting pitching has really come into form. So it just feels like maybe the window of opportunity, which is small, as you said, 7%, but it's still open. And Detroit's waffling a little bit. I know they're maybe kind of taking their foot off the gas, but what was at one point, 14 game lead is down to 6.5 with 6 games to play amongst the two teams. So, it looked there for a second like maybe possibly we were going to avoid having to face Tarek Skubal over the next couple weeks, but that doesn't appear to be the case. It's going to have to be done the hard way. But, the Guardians have played very well in division this year as well. They're one of the best teams in the league in terms of playing in division. And so the last week, while they've gone 6-1, it's been a combination of stellar starting pitching and timely hitting. And not just from Ramirez and Kwan and Manzardo, but they've gotten contributions up and down at the right time. I don't know if that's sustainable or scientific in any way, but if they're gonna make something happen, it's gonna need to continue for about two more weeks, if not 6 more weeks.
It's like what's kind of interesting. Like we spend the entire season saying small sample, and it's not. This is who this team is. You have to have, and now we're at the part of the season where the samples don't matter. You have 2 weeks to do a miraculous run. Cleveland just needs to catch fire for 2 weeks, and Detroit needs to be, 3-7, which they've done. It has happened. Like
Tigers' magic number is 7. Between the next 13 games, Tigers need to either win 7 games or have Cleveland lose 7 games or some combination thereof.
I will say this, and I don't usually plug my writing on here, but I'm gonna do it for a second. Sorry, everybody. I wrote a blog post this week where I just tried to map out. I played the schedule game with the teams that were around the Guardians and the wild card as well as with the Tigers. And I did 2 runs of it. I did one where I just kind of played it straight and made the best guess I could, and I based it on win-loss record, run differential, both over the course of the season and over like the last 40 games. The point I'm getting to here is I did a second run where I was more trying to kind of edge the Guardians into the playoffs, trying to kind of make that happen a little bit, like what would it take kind of thing. And even I had Detroit go 6-11 down the stretch, lose both series to Cleveland, and Detroit still won the division by 2 games.
yep.
So it's going to take, even with everything I just said, it's going to take a very large effort, a Herculean effort to make up that difference. I did maneuver them into the wild card by doing that the second time around, but it took the Guardians going like 12-5 in their last 17. They have to win every series the rest of the way, and then Seattle and Texas have to play like 500 the rest of the way.
All right.
Who do you play? Because you play us twice, but who else?
Well,
So again, we are continuing to play teams that are other than we got Detroit for 3 this week. We then have a 4-game series with Minnesota, which one of those games is a rainout game, and it might be to the Guardians' favor that we're playing that game now in September as opposed to playing it in May, based on what the Twins roster is now. And then, as you can see, Detroit again, and then that last series with the Rangers, which might also be incredibly impactful. It may come down to those last 3 games, although Seattle has been incredible of late. They've won their last 8 in a row.
right.
But Houston's the team that's fallen fast. This whole thing it's become such a mess, and it didn't look like it was going to, but Houston and Texas and Seattle are all going for their division, and those 3 teams plus Boston are like all tied for we're close together for the wild card, and then we're just sitting at striking distance. So there's a lot to be figured out yet, even though we've played 149 games, I believe, at this point.
It sucks. I need the Astros to win the division because we have the tiebreaker over them for seeding, but we don't have the tiebreaker over the Mariners or the Rangers. So I need the Astros to win the division.
It's interesting because a couple weeks ago I said that it's going to be a boring September baseball-wise, and it seems as though since I've said that, the Seattle Mariners and the New York Mets both said, "Hold my beer," because the Mariners have won 8 in a row and the Mets have lost 8 in a row. So the Mariners have made the AL West race very interesting, and the Mets have made the NL wild card race very interesting. The Giants are within half a game of making the playoffs
Right.
over the Mets there. So it's coming down to the wire for some of these races this year, which I was not expecting.
I feel like every year for the past few years in September, beginning of September, we're like, oh, it's going to be really boring September. And then last year, the Tigers came out of nowhere and took over. And this year, we got the mess that is the West and the Giants. And so I feel like we're going to keep. How long is it going to take us to learn that
at some
it's
point
going to be an exciting September?
As much as I hate having this many playoff teams in the playoffs, Manfred was probably correct in adding 2 extra wild card teams because this is what happens. You have teams that were dead, and
it's so much more exciting.
MLB wants teams to make the playoffs.
Yes,
they want that to happen, and I think that's a good thing.
Yes,
I will say,
Rob, we know you're listening. I'll give you this one.
You did it,
I'm
buddy.
I will say I like this format better than the 5-team format.
Oh,
Just
I
I didn't
agree.
like the one game. I like this better.
I do
I
like having an actual.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree having a 3-game series, even though that's not much, but like it's better than a 1-game series.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the one game series is basically just a one game 163. It's
Yeah.
not a playoff series. It's just one extra game. I like having the 3 wildcard teams. I think, because baseball playoffs are such a crap shot. You
Right.
know, I feel like you gotta expand it a little bit just because there are so many teams that can make a run.
Right.
I think.
I guess
Maybe that's
Alternatively,
my
the
issue
argument
with it
against that's
is
the opposite. Go ahead, Eric. Sorry.
my issue with it is just like you're gonna have a losing team enter the playoffs, and then what do you do? Like, and then it just kind of it doesn't make your playoff format a joke. But let's pretend, like you said, the playoffs are a crapshoot. If that below 500 team, if a 79 and 82 team goes on a run and like makes it to the World Series, like what? I mean, I guess that would be a hell of a headline. But
Even beyond that, just we play 162 games. We play
right,
this really long season to figure out who the best teams are, and then we let 12 of them in the playoffs,
yep,
and where it's high variance. Like,
yep,
uh, if I had my way, we'd go back to 4 teams, but my way doesn't make money,
right.
so I get it.
See,
It is what it is.
I'll talk out of both sides of my mouth because I love baseball playoffs because it is you almost like in the NBA you can look at matchups, but like you have a pretty good idea who has the best players going to win that series a lot fair, or like you can look at the head to head matchups and be like it's probably this team in 6 and feel pretty confident about it. You can't do that in baseball, like, and that's what I love about it. But
It's amazing to me that it took MLB as long as it did to expand the playoffs, because 4 teams from each league making the playoffs until when was the extra wild card introduced, like 13, 12,
Something
13,
like
something
that.
like
I'd
that.
have to look it up. It took a while though, but yeah, you're right.
It took
4
a
teams is way
while.
too few.
But here's the thing. The Royals went 29 years without making the playoffs. That's bad for baseball.
right,
Right? When you have teams that just go decades without making the playoffs, I think that's objectively a bad thing.
correct.
So
Well,
I think
especially in that market,
they needed to expand.
right?
I've kind of on 2 minds of this. Okay, does expanding the playoffs open up more teams that go, well, we have a chance. Let's buy and invest and make it towards it, or does it open up towards teams? Well, we don't need to because we can just might be able to sneak
Oh.
in. Which you think holds more weight?
Yeah, I know. To me, because I think the new because of it, it ended up. Yes, you're right. It affected the trade deadline. I like it because people like teams are more likely to hold on to their players, which I kind of like. Like if you're a team that has 2 years of team control, let's just say you're not throwing a fire sale, and your team's not doing a fire sale, you can hypothetically hold on to players that you might be tempted to trade away. But that's just me.
I would say that I think we have less traditional buyers and sellers than we used to have. I think you have more teams that are being creative at their trade deadline and maybe not just selling off prospects for, you know, talent to help them for the next 3 months, or vice versa. There's more teams that are kind of hedging and doing a little bit of both, because of the nature of the playoffs. The other thing that I think is really interesting is the the trade deadline is so shrunk now because the draft isn't the All-Star game when it used to be in June. And so it used to be as front offices, you'd focus on the draft until June 5th, and then you'd have the draft. And then from there on, you're in scout mode for the trade deadline. Well, now they're having to do both at the same time for a month up until the draft. And I think that kind of, I don't think the teams really appreciate that change, but I think it also kind of muddies the waters and makes things different for the teams, just structurally how they operate.
Does the trade deadline need to be pushed back like an extra week? Because I mean, if you have so many teams that are like on the
Yes,
bubble,
I would move it back 2 weeks. You don't have the waiver deadline anymore. I would
Mm,
move it to like August 16th. And
yeah.
that's just my opinion. It's not something
I wouldn't.
hell I die on, but I'd move it back.
I'm kind of in the mind like it's not my hill to die on. I kind of like they don't have complete information. Like you have to like at some point you're gonna have to gamble on your team being good enough. It's whether you want to make that decision in mid-August or July. I kind of like having an earlier trade deadline, but again, like you said, it's not. I would be like if they would change it to mid-August, I'd be like, that's fine. I don't care. Like it wouldn't affect me too much.
It's an interesting point.
Yeah, I mean, like this year we got where the Giants sold to the Mets, and now the Giants might take over the Mets playoff spot. And like last year, I mean, Tigers sold to the teams they sold to did not make the playoffs.
Right.
So like it's
And the Tigers
there's always exactly. Like there's always going to be stuff like that. So I don't know how much it necessarily needs to change when I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but like I think my point was there's been exceptions the past few years. Do we need to change it to adjust with a new playoff?
I do think there's the opportunity now. Look, we'll trade our guys off, but we're going to keep trying. Like we're going to bring up some young guys, and we'll see how that goes. Like maybe that
the Royals kind of.
How's that going for the Twins?
Yeah, well, you have to trade for the right players. You
That's
can't trade for
different.
James Outman and expect the offense to light it up. But yeah,
and not trade your entire roster.
And don't trade 5 of your 8 bullpen guys. I mean, that just have this husk of of former team. But I do
and you mentioned the Royals. I think for them, the biggest there's a lot of numbers, trade deadline, whatnot. The Royals trade deadline was about 2026. Yeah. They set themselves up for next year, which is another thing that a lot of teams can do as well if you can get a couple of decent players who are under team control for another year or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they got Stremski was probably one of the better deals to go down in this division. Like, imagine a world where, Lugo doesn't get hurt, or maybe they play just a little bit better, and then they could be in it just like Cleveland is now.
Right.
And I'm not, Sam, I'm not trying to twist the knife, but just imagine if Kansas City won 3 of 4 this week as opposed to the other way around. You'd be in the same spot. Came down to 2 games. We'll talk about that later, though.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next up, I guess. Sam, do you want to talk about Salvador Perez?
I do. I would love to talk about Salvador Perez for a minute or two. This is going to be a little bit personal, if I'm allowed to do that on my my own podcast.
There's no feelings allowed, but go ahead.
Salvador Perez last night against the Phillies had a 2-home run game. It was his 300th home run that he hit. It was also his 1,000th RBI on the same swing. It was also his 1,700th hit on that same swing. So nice. A couple milestones for Salvi. And I want to talk a little bit about him as a player and who he is and what he's meant to me personally. I had the chance to cover a Royals game early last year in April of 2024 for KQ2 in St. Joseph. And I was going there to talk about the Royals stadium situation that was going on. I went there with another reporter, Darren Doyle, who's a friend of mine. We went there and we covered the game together. And when I went to St. Joe, it was a time in my life where I really needed a second chance. Because I had I graduated college during the pandemic. I had a lot of stops and starts in Kansas City. I had a really terrible job that I got fired from right before I went to St. Joe. And the ability to go to that game, to sit in the press box, to go down into the club, to talk to Matt Quatrero, to go down into the press box after that game was one of the coolest things I've ever done in my life. And it might sound lame, but it was probably truly one of the best days of my life.
Yeah.
Because, I remember standing there in the clubhouse, and I remember just thinking to myself how far I had come in my life, and how quickly that had happened for me. And I was standing there in the clubhouse. We talked to Bobby Witt Jr. We talked to some other players, and then we talked to Salvi. And Salvi came out outside of his locker. He was shirtless. He had this big, ice pack that he had strapped to his shoulder. And him and the trainer were trying to force this sort of shirt onto him over this ice pack that he was wearing on his shoulder. And he eventually was able to get this shirt on. And he looked at us, to the reporters, and he said, "Oh, can't even tell, right?" And so, that was Salvi in a nutshell. Is, he's just a big kid. He loves playing baseball, and he loves joking around with people. And so, we talked to him for a little bit about the game and so forth. But that day of being able to do that and being able to meet Salvi, and for him being what he has meant to this franchise, has really meant a lot to me. And I think that I think we talk about players, and we talk about what they do on the field. And this also kind of ties in to, last year he won the Clemente Award. And that also meant a lot to me personally as well. My mom grew up in Pittsburgh. That's where she's from. And, she was growing up in the 70s. And when she was growing up, her favorite player was Roberto Clemente. And obviously we know what happened to him. And last year, Salvi winning that award, Salvi's always been my mom's favorite Royals player since he came up. So, my mom's favorite player as a child and my mom's favorite player as an adult are now inextricably tied together through the fact that he won that award. So Salvi, I do think he's going to be a Hall of Famer. But I think what he means to me and what he means to the game of baseball means a lot more.
Yeah. And catchers are underrepresented, so people who are looking at, if you're just looking at WAR and if WAR gets you into the Hall of Fame, catchers got to be judged at a different scale to me than others. I think what kind of sticks out, yes. Did you say his same swing? He had 300 career home runs. It was his 1,000th RBI, and it was a 1,700 hit.
Yep,
that's incredible.
That's
incredible.
Pretty
to do
cool.
That all in one swing. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I think the other thing that's worth mentioning about Salvi is he had that 48 home run season.
Right.
Outside of that 48 home run season, he hasn't had any season where he's had more than 30 home runs.
Right.
So he has been consistent, 25 to 20, 20-ish home runs a season over these years. And, I mentioned that he won the Clemente Award, which I think is very big for him. He also won a World Series MVP. He has 5 Gold Gloves and 5 Silver Sluggers. And we played a game last week where I asked how many players had 300 home runs and how many players had 1,000 RBIs. We can play a game this week. How many players in MLB history have 5 or more Gold Gloves, and 5 or more Silver Sluggers. What do you think, Eric?
When were those awards started? Because I
I'll
feel
say
like
I'm
that would
going
change my
Berra
answer.
and bench. I'm gonna say 3.
No, players who
Oh.
have 5 Gold Gloves and 5 silver. Not just catchers.
5 gold
Any
gloves.
player
Oh,
who has 5 Gold Gloves, 5 Silver Sluggers.
20.
Okay, Lee.
I don't know when those awards started. I don't know how
I
far
think those
back it
awards
goes.
started maybe like in the 60s. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, if the 60s, then I'm gonna say 27.
Okay, Dan.
17.
Okay, the answer is 12.
Ooh, wow.
All right.
So let me read to you this list of players who have 5 or more Gold Gloves and 5 or more Silver Sluggers. Mike Schmidt, Dave Winfield, Ryan Sandberg, Tony Gwynn, Kirby Puckett, Barry Bonds, Ken Griffey Jr., Pudge Rodriguez, Derek Jeter, Salvi, Nolan Arenado, and Mookie Betts.
I thought Al Kaline had, because I know he got a bunch of both, but
That's a lot of
wow.
recent names. That's kind of.
It is
I
a
mean,
lot.
they had a
Surprises me.
Silver Slugger for a while, but
It is a good amount of recent names, but that's pretty small.
yeah.
So
One I'd be curious of, sorry to cut you off, but the other thing, to get to the 300 home runs is particularly when you're not hitting 30 plus every year, you have to be durable. And Perez's durability behind the plate has been phenomenal.
Yes.
I'd be
Especially
curious
for a
of,
catcher.
I'd be curious of how many guys have caught 125 games as many times as Perez has over time. I'm sure it's
Yeah,
not
games
zero,
played
but
as
I
catcher.
imagine it's also not that many. Just his durability is high level.
yeah, no, and he's always been that as a player. I think he's been a little bit more open to the last couple years DHing and playing first
Played
base.
first more. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been playing first a lot more. He's been a little bit more open to that the last few years, and I think we talk about him being a Royal for life. So next year he is owed $13 million. It's a team option.
They've already picked it up.
They have to.
Yeah,
right?
Just pay it. Just pay it.
Right.
Right. It's a bouquet, is what it is.
Right.
Right. And then after that, just go year by year and see how he's feeling, see how he's doing, and just play it by ear after next season. He is very likely going to be the Royals' home run leader.
Oh, how
He
far
needs
is he away?
He's 18 home runs away from George
Okay.
Brett.
Next year.
Yeah. So next year he needs 18 home runs to be the all-time Royals leader in home runs.
Is that home runs as a Royal or home runs?
As a Royal. Home
Okay.
runs as a Royal. Yeah. So the Royals haven't had a lot of big home run hitters in their history, and they also haven't had a lot of all-time great players who spent most of or their entire career with the Royals. So obviously George Brett wasn't the biggest home run hitting player there was, but Salvi needs another 18 home runs to pass him. He's going to get that next year.
Right.
Let's get to 2,000 hits. I think that's a reasonable goal. And I think that will put him as, a Hall of Famer for sure.
I mean, he's probably 2.5 more years then after this year, depending on how many he's going to get.
Yeah, and
hits
this year he's got 129 hits.
Right.
If he gets that to, if he gets 10 more hits this year, it's basically 150 hits for 2 more seasons.
Yeah.
Which again, if he's playing more DH, I don't think that's an unreasonable goal for him.
Right. I would say I think it's possible. If I was at work giving a performance evaluation, I would call 2,000 hits a stretch goal. I think you can do it, but it's going to take. It's
I think
not. The
he
chances
can.
aren't great, but you can. You have the talent to do it.
I think he is. He's definitely going to play next year,
Right.
right? Because of that team option. Because it's $13 million. It's less money than he's making this year, by the way. This year, I think he's making like $20 million. Next year, he's owed $13 million with that team option. I think for him, he's going to play next year, and let's just see where he's at after that. But I do think, with him hopefully playing his whole career with the Royals, with him being a captain, which is increasingly rare in MLB, and with the fact that he's a catcher, and that's a position that's kind of it's a difficult position to judge. I think we are going to see Salvi enshrined in Cooperstown within the next. I don't think he's going to be a slam dunk first ballot guy, but I think
2 or 3
eventually,
somewhere.
I think within a couple, maybe 3-4 ballots, we'll see Salvi enshrined in Cooperstown. So
I also think this is more the larger point, but in the next 10 years, I think we're going to see a higher percentage of catchers make the Hall of Fame. That because you still have. I mean, Mauer just got in. He was first ballot. You're going to have Buster Posey in. You're going to have Yachty in. You're going to have Chris
Yachty's out
Salvi in.
there.
Brian McCann has a good chance. You're going to see, and catcher is the least represented group in the Hall. Maybe it's
Absolutely.
really but I think you're going to see an outsized. But can I offer you one sense of petty revenge? 50 years in the making. I want the Royals to go year to year, except in the last year they cut Salvi, the Twins sign him, so the Twins can have revenge for Carmen Killebrew for his 1 year with the Royals.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Harmon Killebrew did have 1 year with the Royals at the end of his career.
Yeah, he only played half the year too. I don't think he made it the whole year.
Yeah, he was a twilight Royal, very much. But yeah, no, he. It wouldn't surprise me because the other thing is in 2023, at the trade deadline, Salvi was ready to go. He was ready to be traded to the Texas Rangers. And for one reason or another, that didn't end up working out. I think the other thing is the Royals are a competitive team now, a lot more than they were 2 years ago. I think they have the guys now. They have the pitchers. They have the hitters. Oh, my God. Harrison just shanked a field goal. The Royals have the hitters. They have Vinny. They have Michael. They need to continue to look at that.
Oh my God, he's a baby. Look at him.
Look at that young player right there. So this was his debut. Had his first RBI, had his first hit. He picked off 2 runners, and then the Rays proceeded to win this game on a Little League home run. So I will always remember this first game by Salvi. It was the beginning of a lot for the Royals here on. I think this was in August of 2011. Oh. So we can all think about what we were doing in August of 2011. So Salvi, you're the man. Would be my closing statement.
He picked off 2 runners in his first game.
Sorry?
He picked off 2 runners in his first game?
He picked off 2 runners as a catcher in his first game.
Wow.
That's something.
There's a ridiculous
I
amount
know.
of pop-ups in this game. Like, Jesus H.
There-
Christ, I thought like
Yes.
4 or 5 pop-ups to the
He
catcher.
he also caught like 5 pop-ups to the catcher.
Come on!
He made like
This is
he's made
ridiculous.
like 7 of the outs in this game.
He just
Yeah,
wanted to show off his cool throw there. He's got the little.
Mhm.
That's a good guy. Oh,
Yeah.
Johnny Giavotella, Jeff Francoeur.
Eric Hosmer, Jeff Francoeur, and Johnny Giavotella. Those 2011 Royals sure were special.
Sorry, Gotham. We don't care
No,
about you.
that's not this play. That's your chess videos.
Hey, shut up. I'm getting
Yeah.
better.
So, but anyway, yeah, Salvi, good job.
Yeah, that was cool. All right. I could gush over Buxton, but this is Salvi's time.
Just I want to say one thing about that, not to take the shine off of Salvador, but at least 3 of the teams in this division have a team leader who's a great ball player, potentially Hall of Fame caliber player, and also just a really good dude.
Yeah,
And that's not everybody has that. And so
It is
shout out to
special.
Salvi because he's part of that, and that's to be respected and appreciated as a fan.
and not to like one up everyone. I feel like the Twins have had a good because they had Mauer for a while. Like that, he was that same
Yeah.
era too. So to have basically 2 decades of homegrown talent, like it means something. Then you have those Vandals, the Tigers, who got rid of Cabrera and just a bunch of hooligans.
Maybe Riley Green someday. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's probably who's on the track.
Tigers don't have a lot of. It's really surprising. Tigers don't have a lot of homegrown position players who are really like. Okay, you got like okay lines. Like, I'm talking about players that we drafted.
Right.
Riley Green has. I think he tied or he might have surpassed, but he tied the record for single season home runs by a player that was drafted by the Tigers this year with 34. Like we don't. A lot of the greats are guys who were signed before the draft existed as a concept, or like Miggy, we traded for him. Our greats that we draft are pitchers for the most part.
Starting with Billy Chappell.
Yeah, or guys that we end up trading to a different team.
Miggy, the greatest Florida Marlin of all time.
Yeah.
Miggy was something else. I mean, it really sucks because his past few years with the Tigers, he kept saying, "Oh, I believe in the team. I want to make the playoffs again," and it just couldn't happen because the team was so bad. And then he retires, and then the next year we make the playoffs
immediately.
Yeah, so it kind of sucks, but he's having fun. He's supposed to be playing with a Venezuelan team in this winter. So good for him. He still got it. Best shape of his life.
I mean, he seems like the type that he will just play baseball until his body physically, like not even for baseball, like not even in the majors. He will just play for like a drunk league softball team. He'll be playing when he's 75 just because he still can.
Like for what it's worth, he's playing with I think it's it's basically he said he's not playing to play. He's playing for have some fun and have just in Venezuela, so he can play in his home country some more, and why not? I think he coaches his son a lot. He's going to be on the Venezuelan WBC coaching staff, so
that'll be fun.
Yeah, his kid, I think he's 13 or 14. His swing is exactly like his dad. Of course.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, that's enough about.
I missed last week's show, obviously. It's also been 7 weeks since the implosion of the team, so it's a decent size sample, I think, to maybe just go over the Twins, and just to see what the results are, the early returns of this fire sale. I also included the other teams too because it was baseball, it was Stathead, and it's very easy to filter that. So I figured I would just share, and it's not pretty. It's shockingly not pretty. So this is team hitting on the top where it's all yellow. It's the first half, what they did, or what the entire division did. And then the bottom is obviously the second half. Detroit, I mean, what surprised me more than the Twins is Detroit had a 759 OPS. Chicago leading the division in the second half with offense is shocking to me. Also makes me a little sad, but good for them. Like, that fan base has been hurting for 4 years. 2021 they won the division, and then it's been
Downhill from
horrendous,
there.
historically bad. Then you had the Twins with the second best offense all the way at 706. The second half, well, they've actually improved, which is, I would say, shocking, but they really didn't touch the lineup that much. They got rid of Correa, and they got better. They've gotten younger, and I guess they got more athletic. But I just thought that was interesting. The one thing that kind of stuck out to me is, if you see in the first half for stolen bases, the Twins had 48 stolen bases in basically, I don't know, 100 and, no, it was like 89, 90 games. They've basically caught that in the last like 30 games. Like, they have just been getting on base and just running. Some of that has been pretty ugly. Austin Martin is fast. He can steal a base, but he certainly isn't someone I would call an intelligent base runner. He just goes because he's athletic enough to get away with it sometimes, but not freakishly athletic enough to always get away with it. So that's been kind of ugly. So that's actually been a decent surprise. I'll show up the lineup here in just a bit. Actually, I'll just do that now. So the lineup, it's been nice to see. Royce Lewis has played 50 games. He has a 764 OPS in the second half. Some of that's just he's got a homer streak in the last bit, but God, that's nice to see. Just to see slugging above 450, and on base he could be a little bit better, but that's nice to see. Brooks Lee's playing shortstop. He's been pretty underwhelming at the plate, but it is what it is. And then you see Matt Wallner. After that, you have Byron Buxton and like Luke Keeschel. So there's kind of hope. Cody Clemens has kind of turned back into a pumpkin, even though he had a monster game yesterday. He had 3 home runs and I think 4 extra base hits. The Twins walked off the Diamondbacks. Twins were losing earlier. I'm not sure what they were at right now, but I'd say one of the bigger names, like, that's just encouraging to see, is Austin Martin, who's in the 6th tab. He was in the Jose Barrios for Simeon Woods Richardson and Austin Martin trade back in 2021. He had really looked terrible in the outfield. His prospectum was pretty much washed. He has an 807 OPS. You can see his on-base percentage is phenomenal. He's hitting 299, but he has a 405 OPS. He's never going to hit for power. He can hit a double and maybe stretch a single out into a double once in a while. But it is nice to see that tool set actually working for him, because he looked pretty bad for quite a while. Luke Keeschel, I think we've gushed about him enough. He's been very good. He's been kind of like a little spark plug. I can see the rest of you getting really annoyed with Luke Keeschel over the next 5 years. He's kind of the, I'm not going to say Tim Anderson, but Lee, I think before we hit record, you said like Max Clark is like the type of player that you love when he's on your team and you'll hate if he's not. I think that's going to be Luke Keeschel. I don't know why I think that, but it's kind of the vibe I'm getting. He's just going to be that gnat that doesn't get out, or he's going to get like a bloop single at the worst time. And so that's been fun. The discouraging names is line 10 and 11. Eddie Julian, this was really his last chance. He has a 569 OPS. I was hoping to see something from him. He's just not going to do it. I mean, this has to be it. He's 24, 25. This is now his 3rd year in the majors off and on. Probably it. James Outman, who they traded for Brock Stewart. Not stellar. 620, 623 OPS. A lot of strikeouts. Fast. Whatever. We'll see. He'll be on the team next year because they traded for him, but yeah. Then the last name. I'm not too harsh on him because he only played 12 games, and then because he's in Minnesota, he got hurt. Ellen Roden did not look impressive, but we'll see with that. He's more toolsy than like a Trevor Larnach, but he's probably gonna, I don't want to say be that player type, but kind of that player type. Oh, God, the pitching. I don't want to. These are games started. Kansas City, you said the first half, the Twins had a 4.02 ERA. In the second half, this is just starting pitching. They are 25th in baseball. They have a 5.51 ERA. It hasn't been great at all. David Festa thought that he was going to have thoracic outlet syndrome. Turns out that's going to be a pinch nerve, which is honestly a huge bullet dodged because thoracic outlet is not. It's probably, I would say, worse than Tommy John because it doesn't seem like they have a good answer for that yet, but maybe I'm just misreading that, but I don't know. Seems like they do thoracic outlet when they don't actually know what's wrong with you. They're just thinking, it could be this thing, but who knows? But anyway, he doesn't have it. He just has a pinched nerve, it sounds like. He'll be ready for next year. Sammy Matthews hasn't looked that impressive. Taj Bradley, who they traded for, hasn't looked that impressive. He's been off and on. Actually, I have a talking point about him in a bit. I think is kind of interesting. And then the bullpen, which I think I was a bit surprised with how high the bullpen ERA was in the first half. It was 4.14. They had a couple blowups and certainly wasn't stellar, but they have a 5.68 ERA in the second half. That's 29th in baseball. The only team that is worse is the Colorado Rockies, who have a 6-something bullpen. Also, just a garbage team in to begin with. The names they're pulling out of that bullpen, you're not going to hear from them again. That's basically what I was going to say. I'm going to apologize for this next slide because these are all of the pitchers since the All-Star break. So the second half. They've had 30 separate pitchers since the All-Star break. These highlighted names are just guys I think are going to be in the pitching staff next year. And there's 9 of them out of the 30. It has been such a revolving door, including guys like Brooks Kriske, who has, what's that? A 11.25 ERA. You have Thomas Hatch with a 6.58 ERA. You have, where is he? Noah Davis with a very impressive 16.2 ERA in 5 innings. Like, unbelievably bad. Outside, you have Cole Sands, Thunderberg, Topa. Might be in the bullpen. Sands is about the only one that will be in the bullpen. He's looked better in the last couple of days, but it's dire. Don't trade away your entire bullpen. Expect good results, people. That's really the end of it. But that's kind of it for my Twins spiel. I had one other.
Were the Twins expecting results when they did that, Eric?
They said they were going to be a competitive team, Sam, and I believed them wholeheartedly at the time.
Well, it doesn't cost anything to say something, Eric.
It costs your reputation.
Well, there you go.
Does the Twins front office and ownership really have that positive of reputation anyway? How much further down can they go?
Why have I said anything about ownership this year? Have I made that opinion clear? Well,
one of the things I'll say real quick, and I missed the episode where we talked about the Twins ownership situation. Where we talked about it in depth. We have talked about that on numerous occasions, featuring me and not. They wanted what, like 2.3 billion?
no,
2.2 billion for the Twins?
no. They wanted what their sticking point was 1.7. Where you're getting that is they had 400 million in debt.
Yes.
That's why
right.
They were holding to 1.7 billion and not 1.5 billion.
That's right. So they wanted someone to buy the team for 1.7 billion, and they wanted that person to also take on $400 million worth of debt. Right?
Yeah, it would have been negotiated, so this is pure speculation. But the Polabs would have paid the debt, but because if they took 1.5 billion, they would have only gotten 1.1 billion to spread amongst 30 people. And can you believe anyone could live with that?
Mm-hmm. But my point is, you're asking for that amount of money, and I don't. This is going to sound mean, Eric. You're asking for that amount of money for the Minnesota Twins, not for the Lakers. Not for the Dallas Cowboys.
Sure.
for the Minnesota Twins,
Sure.
who is a team who has not had success in. I mean, every team in our division has had success, has made the World Series at least more recently than the Twins.
Right.
So it's just like you're asking for that amount of money for a team that hasn't done anything, hasn't made, like, when's the last time the Twins made the ALCS?
Not since they won the World Series.
I have a question. Who is more valuable in this context? The Baltimore Orioles or the the Baltimore Orioles or the Minnesota Twins?
I would say
Are they
Baltimore.
of about equal?
I'd say Baltimore.
I only because of
Would
the population. I know where you're going with this. I think you want to think of the Rays, who were just sold for 1.7 billion. I think that would be a
Oh,
better
okay.
comparison.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was headed. Baltimore was sold recently for $1.73 billion.
Yeah.
So
And
it
like,
tracks them. But
keep in mind the Twins had a buyer at 1.7. It was Justin Ispia. He just decided that he wanted to buy the White Sox instead. Which, granted, if you're a businessman whose brand is already stronger, and you're kind of buying a depleted asset in the White Sox. Now, obviously, the Twins have like dropped down before them, but if you're going to tell me who's going to be more valuable in the next 10 years, the White Sox or the Twins? It's the White Sox. They're in Chicago. They have a long-lasting brand. Like,
yeah,
of course, it's going to be the White
location and population center and how many
Sox. Right.
people
The
And he lives in
logo is
Chicago.
make a big difference.
the logo is a fashion statement on its own. Yeah.
Yes. Like there's
That's
there's
true
a
too.
plus like they might get a new stadium. There's a lot to like if you want to own if you had to choose between those teams, why you would choose the White Sox. And also he lives in Chicago. Why would like I'm okay with that. Like did he leave the Twins on red? Yeah, he did, but who cares? It sounds like they might have had a buyer for 1.7, but I don't know. This new ownership group, they still haven't mentioned who they are. It's probably going to come at the end of the season, but who knows? Anyway, can I bring up one point that I thought was fascinating? This was like 2 weeks ago that this ended up happening, or a week ago it ended up happening. Taj Bradley was traded from the Rays for Griffin Jacks, and he had like two really good starts after some kind of clunkers. And during his post-game press conference, somebody goes like, "Oh, so like, have you done anything different?" He goes like, "Yeah, I actually started reading the scouting reports on the other team." Like, and everyone was like, "What?"
Of all the franchises, I would have thought to have their pitchers read the scouting reports of the
Right.
other team, it would have been the Rays.
Well,
Like-
and like, off of that point, if there's a team that I will trust, like my professional career as a pitcher, and they have like this golden treasure trove of pitching development in Tampa Bay, and they hand you information that's going to make you better at your job, and you're like, "Nah, I'm all right." What are we doing? Like, what?
Maybe he just didn't want to before he was traded. Like, that's a thing, I guess.
Well,
It's
he did say he was being hard-headed, and like I believe that, and like I can kind of buy the reason is like, well, the starting pitcher doesn't need to know. Like, do you just want them to be athletes and like pitch? You can give the catcher the scouting report and do the same thing, but you should probably do some home. You have 5 days between starts, and I'm not saying you're just like sitting in the clubhouse playing poker, but like you have some time to look at the other team, and it's just fascinating to me that he has to get traded to the Minnesota Twins, and they're like, "Here's the scouting report," and he goes, "I've never seen these before. This might be helpful," and like he starts reading it. Like, how ridiculous!
I kind of hope that that's actually how it went down. I imagine it wasn't, but like, oh, I didn't realize we didn't have these in Tampa Bay.
Right?
Like the delivery system that was utilized, he wasn't getting the emails or something when he was in Tampa Bay. I don't know.
Right?
Oh, I got
Um,
my. Oh, I didn't have my login earlier. We have
Yeah.
those.
Hysterical.
I didn't get my team email the first time.
I can see the argument of like, certain guys don't want all this excess information. They just want to go out and pitch. You give it to the catcher, or there's certain guys that like, no, I want to pitch to my strengths as opposed to trying to
Right.
work within the context of the batter's weaknesses, etc. But it's not like Taj Bradley was setting the world on fire or anything. Like,
No, he was struggling a
you
lot.
know, so at some point you got to make a change to what you're doing, Taj. And it sounds like he has. Good for him.
Yeah.
But to take that long.
In which case, I'd like to think somebody in Tampa Bay heard that quote and like, mother ever, we've been telling you this.
I was writing those.
I was about to say, like,
Did you
we've been
not
telling
read
you
my
this for
emails?
3 years, Taj.
They're gonna send him an angry email, like, as per my last email, CC'd.
Yeah.
He's not going to get
All the
that one either,
receipts.
though. So
Yeah, that's true. That's
it was
going
going.
right
It
into
was. It was going to his spam the whole time.
You're right.
Yeah, Taj Bradley's like, oh, I forgot to change my password, and now I'm locked out.
right. I like the thing, like, can you
Oh, oops,
imagine?
I accidentally sent it to my social tab, so I wasn't reading
Yeah.
it.
Taj Bradley has to go to his HR person and be like, oh, so I've been getting some emails have been going to my spam recently.
Just every scouting report. I bet
Did
the
you
Tons
send
would
me
be
a
interested in
new
some of
link
those.
so I can reset my password?
How like ridiculous would it be if like this now unlocked new potential in Bradley and now he becomes like an all-star caliber pitcher all because he's reading, like, can you imagine how mad Tampa Bay will be? Like, like, in which case, good for the Twins because you got him to read his homework.
Hey,
But, like,
if you could fleece the Rays, that would be a first.
well, this would be the second.
Whoever
Joe Ryan.
Oh, there you go.
whoever convinced him to do that, whether that was a coach or one of the players or I don't know, anybody in his, somebody deserves a bonus if that's the
Give them
case.
a raise. Give them
Yeah.
give them a shout out or something because dang,
So I just thought that was interesting.
that is very funny.
Of all the teams, I just can't believe. If you would have told me that the White Sox had that, I was like, okay, I don't think I would trust the White
Right.
Sox scouting and development either the last couple of years, but it's the effing Rays.
Sorry, I keep yawning. I've just been really tired this past week. So
God, don't worry about it.
I'm not bored. I haven't been sleeping. No, the other day, Friday, I had work until 3 in the morning. I got home, I fall asleep, I wake up,
Lee.
I do homework, I fall back asleep, and then I go back to work.
Lee, you don't have to make excuses. I get it. It's only 6.5 games left with 6 to go against Cleveland. I know why you're losing sleep. It's
Dude.
okay.
They haunt me.
If that, all right, if for whatever reason the Guardians go like, if they get within like, I don't know, if they can take the lead with a sweep that last Detroit series, we have to at least like stream and watch one of those.
No, you will never
if we
hear
win
me
this
again.
division-
I'm leaving.
I don't.
You know,
leave
Lee,
a comment. Leave a comment for something you guys want me to do.
If you want to
if we
see
end up
Lee
winning this
meltdown
division.
for views,
Lee, you make me really glad that I didn't go to grad school.
Oh, I'm so high strung. I'm
You
taking
make me-
10 credit hours. I have so much homework I have to do the next 2 days.
You make me glad that I only have a bachelor's degree.
same here. I have mine
It's-
in history. It's the easiest one you can get.
Yeah, no, I've been back to school for what 2-3 weeks now, and no, I'm so done. I'm
That's
so
bad
stressed
news
out.
for you. You're not actually done.
Yeah,
I'm done. It's great. I haven't gone to
Mhm.
class in like 15 years.
Yeah.
congrats.
I don't ever have to write a paper ever again.
It's pretty nice. You should try it out late sometime.
Yeah.
Never mind your salary potential is going to like 10x ours by the time you get done with this thing. But we're going to ignore that. We're going to have our
Yep.
fun right now before you own the entire world. But
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. Me and my master's degree are gonna take over the world one step at a time.
I had one other Twins note that I'm going to shut up about them because they're basically irrelevant the last 2 weeks. Walker Jenkins got called up to AAA. Why does that matter? He's 20 and he's been at 4 different levels this year. He is 6 years younger than the average AAA competition. He started off like 0-20 when he got to AAA, and since then he now has, I think, like a 300 average. This was pulled yesterday, but he's looked really good, like someone you can get excited for. And let's just say the Twins have a black hole in their lineup next year. I don't think it's unreasonable to think he could hit the opening day roster. Like, he has been everything and more. He's had a little bit of injury history, but thought that was worth pointing out. He has been very good this year, obviously, and he's 20 years old. So very few players get to AAA at 20 years old and hold their own and are not good players in the long run. So, plus, look at that jawline. Like, look at that. He's made for
I was
posters.
I was gonna say that not only are the results good, but he could sell jeans, if you know
I
what
was
I
about to
mean.
say he has a ridiculously like he's gonna have one of those lives that are gonna be like disgustingly perfect. Like if I told on air Joe Mauer's life because it's disgusting. So Joe Mauer, born and raised in Minnesota, he had the option to be the quarterback at Florida State or be the number one pick in baseball. He gets drafted by his hometown team. He dates and marries Miss Minnesota. He then has twins. He then signs
Oh,
the
that's
largest
weird.
contract in franchise history at the time. He then goes on the first ballot Hall of Fame. Screw you, Joe Mauer, and your perfect life.
Some people just have all the luck.
And also, pretty good looking dude, too. So, like, screw you, Joe
Yeah, but
Mauer.
he was a subpower power first baseman at the end of his career, so that
Tell me about it. Yeah.
that washes everything out.
Oh, God. The Mauer power stuff I couldn't make disgusting. God dang it. And also, when he got elected to the Hall of Fame, the amount of people were like, why would the Hall of Fame solely like how could the bar for the Hall of Fame be so low to let Joe Mauer in? And you're like, shut up. Like, this is
That's one of
national
those.
media. This is your
That's
opinion that's in the minority
if
here.
that
Like,
guy played in New York or LA, that would not even be a thought in anybody's mind.
right. So you can buy me with a lot of arguments from Mauer. He only played 10 plus years as a catcher, and then last four he was like, I get it, but like, shut up.
I mean, I'm surprised that because I just looked it up, 76% voted for Joe Mauer
Yep.
to be a Hall of Famer. I'm surprised it's that low.
You know what's interesting is like they'll unveil a lot of the writers will unveil their their ballots before. He was at
Mhm.
like 84% the night before they unveiled it. And then there was like only like 15% of the ballots left that weren't unveiled, and then he got in a 78, which means like only like 3 or 4 of those didn't vote for him. But anyway, do we have any? I kind of blanked. I forgot to make the recaps, so I'm just going to pull up the baseball reference page. But is there any other news we want to go over before we get into recaps?
No, that's
I have
fine.
one quick I have one quick news item. Just speaking of prospects, you talked about Walker Jenkins. I just want to acknowledge Guardians outfield prospect Chase DeLauder, who was the team's first round pick in 2022. I've talked about him a little bit at times. I was a 16th overall pick that year. His top 70 prospect, no matter what service you use. MLB has him at number 36 and second for the Guardians. Anyway, beyond his resume, he is just like I talked about George Valera last week. The Guardians' never-ending quest to find outfield guys who can actually hit the ball outside of Stephen Kwan. He is another one of those candidates, but he's never played more than 57 games in any of his now 23, 24, minor league seasons. He will be playing in the Arizona Fall League for the third year in a row. That's kind of rare for guys to do that 3 times, but he needs reps, so he'll be doing that. He only played 34 games at AAA this year, but had an OPS at 859 before getting injured. He was on a 25 home run pace if you extrapolate to a full season. So he could have potentially come up around the same time CJ Kafis did, but injuries got in the way. Just an update for him. He's going to go back to the Arizona Fall League where he's had success in the past and just try to see some pitches and continue to get better so that hopefully maybe if health allows, he could potentially be on the 2026 Major League roster.
All
Still
right.
looking for a right fielder.
Still, for the last decade, they've been looking for a right fielder. I don't get it. Like, But I could say the same thing about the Twins in first base, where they just refuse to develop a decent first baseman or invest anything in the position. But it seems very weird to me. All right, one sec. I am one click away from finding this game.
I had this one quick.
Travis Kelce just had a big catch, by the way. He went down to his shoestrings to catch a ball on a 4th and 4. So it looks like Taylor's husband is finding the fountain of youth in this game.
I'm very happy for him.
Yeah.
That is also perfect life.
I thought he was going to be all distracted with wedding planning, so I thought he was going to have a bad year. My bad.
You know,
last week he destroyed his wide receiver's shoulder, so kind of balances out, right?
I think I was joking at work the other day that him and Taylor, every single step leading to their wedding is going to be a headline. So It's like, oh, Travis and Taylor have selected their florist. Oh, yeah. Travis and Taylor have selected their color palette, and one of my coworkers made a joke. They go, "You forgot the most important part. Travis and Taylor sign a prenup."
Yep, because that will happen. That's not a joke.
Absolutely.
When the engagements news broke, the Detroit Free Press had an article. The headline was "Breaking: Tight end for Detroit Lions Week 6 opponent engaged to Taylor Swift."
It's true. All right. Anyway, Kansas City, Cleveland had a set. This is the first game of the series. It looks like it kind of. I'm sorry, Kansas City. It looks like Cleveland did what it always does and had a late game comeback.
I'm not trying to be pedantic, but I'm not sure this is the first game of the series.
Isn't it? Well, okay, fine.
Yeah, no, that was Thursday.
Monday was the first game. It was a
Monday was the first game. Jesus Christ! All right, going to Monday. All right, we're here now.
Sam thought he was going to get off, only having relived half of it.
So, what are you guys' thoughts on this series?
Go ahead, Dan. You can go beat by beat if you want.
There's going to be a theme here because there's going to be a lot of Guardians talk for the next little bit here. So if you're a Guardians hater, listen anyway. But starting pitching, Slade Ciccone started game 1 here in this 10-2 victory for the Guards. 8 innings, 1 hit, 3 walks, 3 Ks, which was, there's been kind of 2 versions of Slade Ciccone this year. This was the good version where he doesn't strike a lot of guys out, but apparently gets a lot of weak contact and is able to, in this case, get 24 outs. So, he also got to pitch relaxed with a lead. A 6-run 4th inning was a big modifier to this game. And that 6-run 4th inning was basically built upon a bunch of hard hit balls, but also balls that there were probably 2 or 3 hits in that inning that they weren't high percentage plays for the Royals to make. But if they made any single one of them, the rally ends, and they just didn't make any of them. So a little bit of bad luck there for the Royals, but string a bunch of hits together, you have a big inning, and then Ciccone kind of carried it from there.
How deep did the no-hitter go in this game, by the way? It was like the 8th inning, right, that it got broken up?
Oh, yes. He pitched it. I buried the lead there big time. He pitched a no-hitter into the 8th inning in this game. Ended up, like I said, 1 hit in total. He was removed quickly thereafter, but it looked like he was going to make it all the way through at one point.
There's a rushing touchdown by Patrick Mahomes, by the way. Chiefs are up now, 10-7.
Who are you playing right now?
It would be the Philadelphia Eagles.
I forgot that was the Eagles game.
Yes. I mentioned in the group chat, I guess it's just destiny that this season is not going to have any no-hitters because Ciccone took a no-hitter into the 8th, and obviously Slade Ciccone is not the type of player who you would think of as pitching a no-hitter, but anyone can run into one every now and then. But yeah, it was interesting that no hitter got broke up so late, and there still has not been a no hitter this season, despite numerous attempts.
It might be like, I don't know. There's that premise out there, like you buy a new car and then you notice your car everywhere because you're thinking about your like. I feel like the no hitter narrative, there hasn't been a no hitter narrative started a few weeks ago, and ever since there's been a bunch that have gotten real close but not happened. I don't know if that's because I'm just paying attention now because of the narrative started, or if there really just has been a rash of guys getting close. But yeah,
Yeah.
Sacconi's among those at this point.
I mean, it's
Well,
also because it would be the first year since 2005 that there wasn't a no hitter in a season.
mhm.
I just looked that up to
Mhm.
double check.
Also, the Dodgers lost a no hitter on 2 strikes and 2 outs in the
and
ninth
then
inning,
And then
lost
lost
that
the
game.
and they
game.
proceeded to lose the game. And I think that's really funny.
It was amazing. I was so annoyed. I was listening to that. I was at work. I was listening to that ninth inning, and then it got broken up. I made a delivery and I turned it off because I'm like, well, the Dodgers are gonna win the no hitter anymore, whatever. And then I saw the notification that the Orioles came back. And I was like, wait, what? How did that happen? It was so funny though.
All right, game 2 looks like it was kind of the same. Boy, this was
Yeah.
not.
Just
Cleveland-
less
Another
scoring.
one, just running into another great pitching performance in game 2.
So, we talked about Sacconi. I kind of feel both ways about him. Like I said, he's had some clunkers too. If there's a guy for you guys to be concerned about, a young pitcher on the staff currently for the Guardians that you guys are probably going to see for a while and suffer for, I think it's Joey Cantillo, who went 8 innings, 4 hits, 5 Ks, no walks, had all 3 pitches working. He's always had a plus changeup. But he has his breaking pitches really come into form, and he's figured out how to use it and to attack with it. And he did exceptionally well at that on Tuesday in this 2-0 victory. Beyond that, Jose Ramirez homered and then scored on a double by David Fry, so he was the offense for the game. And the Guardians were kind of riding high off of 2 hot pitching performances, and in this case, just an offense to be up 2 games in the series.
Did I miss something? John Kent, Big Christmas is at first base now.
Yeah, we've talked about that a little bit. So he actually came up as an infielder originally,
Really?
and yeah, like they toyed with what he was in the minors. He's played obviously a lot of right field in his major league career, but he had 4 starts I think at first last year, and he's made a few at the end of this year too, just to kind of get him in the lineup. Stephen Vogt continues to kind of mix guys up and utilize them in a bunch of different roles, but he's actually for his size, he is a very good first baseman. I actually think
Mhm.
he might be the best defensive first baseman on the team now that Santana's gone.
Sure.
Is
Genuinely.
he in the outfield? Because I know he has a great arm. Is he just slow and doesn't really have a lot of range? Is that why?
I just don't think it's a natural position for him. I think with time he's gotten better. They play him deep on purpose to kind of simplify things for him.
Oh,
I
okay,
don't think
gotcha.
he's a good athlete and he's got a great arm. I just think he hasn't it's reps. It's reps more than anything. And
It just seems like such a waste for
he'll be fine.
his. I mean, for his arm to be at first. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
I love
think
outfield
originally he
assists.
was
It's
like
fun.
when they signed him, he was a third baseman, and
Mhm.
so they've kind of tried to figure out what to do with him because I don't think he's quite the right athlete for third, but I think right field still his. Like we were just saying a minute ago, searching for outfielders, that would be his preferred home, I think, for both
Right.
sides.
Well, like not for, like I am begging the Twins to turn Matt Wallner into it because like they have Emmanuel Rodriguez. They have 2 prospects or 3 prospects that are going to be in the outfield. Well, Buxton isn't moving center field for a while, or at least he's going to be in the outfield. Just move Matt Wallner to first base. It'd be kind of the simple. It'd be a huge waste of his arm. But he's like 6'4". You can't tell me he can't just stand at first base. And then you have a first baseman with an 800 OPS for the first time, I think, since CJ Crone in 2019. Anyway, that's not about the Twins anymore. Third game.
Game 3.
Yep.
Yeah, this
pretty good.
was.
Or go ahead.
Yeah, this was one where the Royals had to pull it out late, save the series in a way, manner of speaking. Michael Garcia hit a double that ended up sealing the game. Garcia continues his breakout season in this game, but it was one that another late Royals game where they have to pull out a victory, and I wasn't uh, paying that close of attention to this game because of the way the first two games went. And my level of surprise when I saw that they ended up winning this game was off the charts.
Boy, maybe I just haven't noticed this, but like using Savant's box score, Logan Allen kind of got hit hard. It doesn't really show up in there, so I'm assuming it's a lot of like high pop outs or line drives that went somewhere, but
Mm-hmm.
or maybe that's just typical if you pitch 5 innings and you're gonna have, everyone hit
Have
95.
to check on that. I mean,
Yeah.
he's another pitch to contact guy, so it doesn't surprise me that much, but we just don't have maybe the know
Right.
how that goes relative to anybody else.
It does say hard
I
hit
actually
rate
wasn't
34, but again, I don't have context for that.
he was fine. Logan Allen was, had a decent start here. The real headline for the guards here, I think, is Tim Herron hasn't had a very good season. Left-handed reliever, who was a big part of kind of the core four last year. He hasn't been nearly as good this year. Spent a little bit of time on the IL as well, but he's the one that coughed up the lead in the seventh. And that was, with one out, gave up a walk to Jack Caglione. uh, I apologize, I forget Tolbert's first name, but Tolbert came into pinch
Tyler.
run as he's apt to do, stole second, and then Nick Lofton, who pinch hit for Kyle Isbell to get a righty lefty matchup there, single to tie the game. Hunter Gaddis was brought in to try to salvage things. It was tied at that point, but he immediately gave up the double to Garcia. Good player, and Garcia is a tough matchup for Gaddis, but yeah, turned into a 3-2 lead, turned into a 4-3 deficit real fast. And Guardians have been playing better, but offense doesn't always get into gear and weren't able to come back in that one.
Mm.
Yeah, I just thought this is a 4-game series, right? In Cleveland.
Mhm.
So I know Tigers took all 4 series against the Royals. I know the Royals just lost this series to Cleveland here. Sam? What's your record against the Central in general? Have you gotten beat up by the division a lot? Because it kind of feels
So
like those 2 series against Detroit and this one here is kind of like ending the playoff hopes, kind of.
if the Royals had won this series against the Guardians, they would have won the season series against the Guardians. Um, and yeah, obviously the White Sox are out there. I believe the Royals have a winning record against the Twins this season. But yeah, the Royals have gotten beat up by the Tigers for sure. And this was the series where if they had won it, they would have won the season series there. So
Okay. No, I couldn't remember if you'd won any of the series before. Gotcha.
But go ahead, Dan.
And then that leads us to game 4.
Mm-hmm.
One big swing in this game. CJ Kafis, 2-run home run in the 8th, flipped the game from a 2-1 loss to a 3-2 win for the Guardians. And then secondarily, the 2 runs the Royals scored came in the first inning. Gavin Williams
Mm-hmm.
started this game for the Guardians. Here's the first 4 hitters of the game. Walk to Yastrzemski. Got Bobby Witt to fly out. Home run to Vinny Pascantino. And then another walk to Michael Garcia. Not exactly the greatest start for Gavin Williams. I was actually a little concerned that we were going to get one of his games where he throws 25 pitches an inning and kind of has to fight his way through 4. Carl Willis comes out to the mound after the Guardians' longtime pitching coach, coached many a Cy Young Award winner at this point. Comes out, talks to Gavin Williams. Gavin Williams proceeds to go another 5 1/3 innings, give up 3 hits, 1 walk, and have 6 Ks, no runs. So whatever Carl told him, thank you.
It worked.
I wish Gavin would have remembered whatever he told him at the start of the game, but maybe he didn't read the scouting report. I don't know. But yeah, so it's a night and day difference after those first 4 hitters. and then the heroics by Kafis at the end of the game. Good to see from him. He had been kind of he came up in July, played pretty well right off rip, and then league started to figure him out a little bit. He had this big swing and then another one we'll talk about here in a minute. So he seems to be kind of back on the upswing.
Yeah. This game was particularly disappointing just because of the late loss by the Royals in this game, and I was looking at this series. I look at the Guardians and I kind of see a team that is focused, a team that is going the right direction, a team that is doing everything they can to make that playoff push. Where with the Royals, I see a team that's just crossing its fingers, a team that's hoping that its big stars can save them, and a team that's kind of trying to win based off vibes alone. And that was the result in this series, is that they lost 3 out of 4, and that's it for them at the end of this series. So it was definitely disappointing to watch this and see them kind of have a fork stuck in them for the 2025 season. And I'm not going to say that the season was a failure, but it was definitely disappointing to see it go out this way.
That's the final series between those two, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
If it makes you feel any better, Sam, I kind of feel like we did the same thing to the Twins last year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Just last year.
Yeah, right. Good point.
Yeah,
All
Twins, right. I need you to do me a solid and not just roll over and die for the Guardians in this
Did you not just see
weekend.
I just showed you what the pitching staff has done in the second half. Okay, they've already rolled over.
The Guardians have the 29th ranked offense in the second half. Come on.
They not only rolled over and died, that thing has been buried or rotting in the sun for at least a month.
Just try and get your
29th and
decrepit
not
corpse
30th.
up. Yeah, get your decrepit corpse up and get 27 outs against the horrific Guardians offense. Come on.
Spooky season, so. Well, I guess it's not spooky season yet, but it's basically.
Oh, it's close enough. The pumpkin spice latte is available, so it's spooky season.
I had my one PSL, and no, I'm good. I'm good for now. I used to run a little Starbucks kiosk, and that was PSL month was the. Let me tell you, the internal marketing for Starbucks is they're all about that hype.
Nice.
Anyway,
next I'm not a coffee drinker. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I think I'd buy a coffee off you if I was.
Hey, thanks.
So second series, played the White Sox this weekend. Game 1, more fantastic pitching from the starting pitching. Tanner Bybee's first career shutout, as he's another guy that necessarily hasn't had the season that I think he would want to have in totality, but this was a really good step forward at the right time for him. Obviously, complete game, 9 innings, 2 hits, 10 Ks, no walks. It's dominant against, as you'll remember, don't get caught in the trap of, the White Sox aren't any good. They are the best offense in the division since the All-Star break. So, but in this case, no White Sox touched third base in this game, at least not while on the field playing. Additionally, David Fry and Angel Martinez both homered. Those are the type of guys that team needs contributions from, along with Kafis and Noel and etc. So good first win. Came out as a 4-0 victory.
All right, next. Oh my goodness, this was the 13th.
So
next up, yep.
Game 2. I'm going to stick with the theme of starting pitching here. Parker Messick, who was just called up a couple months ago. Other than one hiccup, has been fantastic, and this was another really good showing. 6 innings, 7 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 4 Ks. Additionally, the bullpen came out. Sabrowski, Gaddis, and Smith who I'd kind of consider the A team at this point, those three guys with the other deterioration that's happened around them, unfortunately. But the A team came out and threw three scoreless, and Guardians win. Another one that was close here, but got the W. Um,
Is Kafis starting to heat up?
Offensively, yes. So he hit the home run in Game 4 of the Royal Series that put him up, and then he homers in this one as well, along with Noel, who absolutely obliterated the ball when he hit his home run. But those two combined for most of the offense. Um, and for Kafis, that was his second go-ahead home run in the course of like 3 days. So yeah, he's starting to heat up again after a bit of a swoon previous to this week. I will just to give the White Sox a solid here, to give them something. Their lefty Tyler Gilbert out of the bullpen looked really good in two scoreless innings. Struck out Manzardo, struck out David Fry. Just he kind of stuck out to me.
Yeah, I mean,
And that would
I
go
do
ahead.
think we have to start recalibrating ourselves with the White Sox. Like 7 weeks of baseball and being an above average offense, that means something.
We kind of
Oh,
talked a little
absolutely.
bit about it last week in terms of their offense, especially since the All-Star break. And I mean, I stand by what I said last week. I think next year the Twins are going to be fifth, the White Sox are going to be fourth in the division.
I don't even think that'd be a hot take. I mean, the Twins have to prove they're not the worst team in the division.
I mean, the White
Or
Sox are just playing. They're not playing horrible. They're playing like a just slightly below 500 team.
the one thing I would like to keep as a caveat is if the Twins payroll is going to be around $90 million, which it's projected to be. Yes, they're for sure. I don't even think it's going to be a question. They're going to be the worst team in the division. If they bring it back to the 130, 140 mark that they were at this year, we might have a separate discussion, but don't think that's likely.
Based on the teams as they are constructed now, I think the White
Right.
Sox.
And that's all you can't justify an extra,
Yeah,
$40
the
million.
free agent signings or trades or something else that goes on, but
Well, be careful what you wish for on trades, let me tell you. All right, today.
And that brings us to today's game, which ended over the course of this podcast. Guardians won 3-2, held on to another close victory, and another quite as good as the first pitching performance, but Slate Ciccone came out through 5 2/3, gave up 2 runs, had four Ks, one walk. Solid. Good to see him have a second start in a row that was on the positive side of things. Bullpen came out, shut things down, and this game was a little bit more of a seesaw battle than pretty much all the other games you've talked about in this, other than the Royals win, in that White Sox had lead for a while, and then it was back and forth. But ultimately, a late home run was the difference again. This time, Bo Naylor contributing, and uh, I really need to look up, because your guys' perception of Bo Naylor is one thing, and his stats say it's a completely different thing. I got to go look and see what his numbers are against the division, because he seems to kill the division and nobody else.
I
But
can look that
yeah,
up here on StatMuse.
Which, not for nothing, if you're going to choose to turn it on, those are I'd rather
that's the
be in
time, right?
against it. Yeah, the
Yeah.
games that matter the most during the season, that's not a bad time to do it.
But yeah, so Bo's home run made it 3-2 after the White Sox I misspoke. They had tied it on a Chase Mydroff home run that Ciccone gave up at 2-2. So Bo was the difference, and the bullpen locked it down from there. I do just to kind of recap. There's a lot of Guardians talk there. Just a week left, or I'm sorry, 2 weeks left, but a week of games that we basically went over. Two things really stick out. Starting pitching has averaged over the past week 7 innings a start, a 107 ERA coming into today. I didn't have the opportunity to do the calculation with today included. Ciccone, the home run he gave up to Mydroff that I just gave up, I mentioned a moment ago. That's the second home run the starting pitching gave up all week. They gave two home runs all week. Additionally, the Guardians over the course of last week in high leverage situations, according to Fangraphs, have an OPS of exactly 1,000 coming into today. So
Of course.
pitching, key hitting, that's guards ball, baby. So I'm not sure if that high leverage hitting is sustainable, to be completely 1,000% honest. But
Doesn't need to
again,
be in two
like I
weeks.
said before, They got to do it for 2 more weeks, and then hopefully 4 more after that. We'll see.
Well, that's the series recaps. We can probably go into schedules and then predictions.
I did want to talk a little bit about this. I have a little bit of Tigers news, and I had that one slide.
I'm sorry, Lee. Yeah, we haven't talked much about the Tigers, have we?
They are going to give me a stress ulcer. It's annoying. No, yeah. I didn't have my okay. So Tiger series since August 1st. It's been very confusing, right? I don't know what to make of this because I oscillate between AL is wide open, we can go for it, to this team is going to be swept in the first round, because just looking at the series we've played, so lose against the Phillies, fine, they're a good team. I think personally they're my pick to win the World Series because I think they're the best team right now. Lose to the Twins post trade deadline, why? And then we get win against the Angels, the White Sox, the Twins. We sweep the Astros. To be fair, the Astros were kind of scuffling at the time, but we still shut them out for 2 games and swept them. We win against Kansas City. And then we go and get swept by the A's, which now that's 2 last place teams that this team has been swept by. Then we go and we win against Kansas City. Then we lose against the Mets because our pitching is a mess, and the Mets were averaging 7.5 runs per game. Okay, not the best, but not the worst. Then we lose to the White Sox, which again, why? And then we have a win against the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. It's fantastic. Okay. And then we lose the series to the Marlins. And now just this 2 last series I want to focus on a little bit. Just in terms of this team is confusing and I don't know what to make of it. The first 2 games against the Yankees, we outscore them 23-3 in 2 games. Oh, to be fair, in that first game, that 7th inning, the Tigers could have stood there with their bats on their shoulders and still scored 4 or 5 runs. They have a 9-run inning before they scored 9 runs before they even get an out. It was ridiculous meltdown by the Yankees bullpen, but they still scored 23 runs in 2 games. Okay, today the Twins. I don't say why I say Twins. The Tigers avoided getting swept by the Marlins. We win 2-0. There are 0 earned runs attributed to Marlins pitchers. We score those 2 runs after a ridiculous circus music theme in the background, series of errors by the Marlins infield defense. So we got 2 runs scored because the Marlins defense can't throw from first to third to save their lives.
Sure.
Those 2 don't correlate together, right? We scored 23 runs in Yankee Stadium, and 19 of those were off of their bullpen. And then we can't get anything going against the Marlins pitching. So it's very, and that's not even getting into the mess that is our starting pitching, because Jack Flaherty has a below 2 ERA when playing against current playoff teams. His ERA against non-playoff teams is near 7.
Right.
Why?
Just because.
So,
That's your 2 starter in the playoffs. The ERA stipulates it.
Yeah, it's very weird. And hey, we're gonna be playing playoff teams in the playoffs, so maybe we don't need to be concerned. But I'm not gonna feel good about it because of how hot and cold he's been.
I would say, in what world? So pretend the Tigers won every one of these series. You're still going to be nervous for the first series of the playoffs anyway. It's just how it works.
It's just the way that they.
It is weird.
It's just. Yeah, that's the thing. It's just they lose all these series to bad teams, but then they look great against these good teams. So I don't know. The A series is okay. Maybe that was just cursed because we can't win against the A's, and it's in Sacramento, and there's a bunch of weird stuff.
Right.
But then we lose against the White Sox. Okay, the 3rd game we lost. It was we blew it in the 7th or 8th inning. We could have won that if Kyle Finnegan was healthy. And one of the game we lost to the Marlins yesterday. It was we got walked off in the 11th inning, depleting our bullpen even more.
Mm-hmm.
We could have won that if we had Kyle Finnegan pitching. So maybe it's not as much. Maybe I should be concerned because Kyle Finnegan he said today that his progress he's exceeding expectations in returning, and so they think he could return this week.
Sure.
Or maybe next week at the latest. So maybe this is just the bullpen looks rough because we're missing our best bullpen guy at the moment. And then the offense is just kind of hot and it'll all look fine. But again, it's just they look really weird. I don't know what to make of it.
Not for
I have a
nothing.
question.
I'm seeing 6 series losses and 7 series wins. So you're still coming out even with like the fluctuation with this, you're still out ahead.
Yeah.
Additionally, since I'm not going to say since August 1st, that's too far out. But since that A series where you guys got swept, has the Detroit Tigers' goal been win all these series, or has the Detroit Tigers' goal been do everything can to get prepared for October? Because
No,
those are two different things.
That's true. Some of AJ's bullpen decisions or lack of decisions has definitely made me question: are they trying to win this game, or they just want to see if Sawyer Gibson-Long can pitch in the playoffs?
And
The
not that
answer,
they're
by the
not
way,
trying
is
to
no.
win, but like, who cares if we win 94 games instead of 91?
Right.
If you know,
which is unique to baseball because you can't do that in the NFL. What's it like? But you can take a game in August and be like, maybe this guy might be good here. Let's try it. Let's experiment a little bit, see what happens.
Right. Like the third game against the Yankees, Sawyer Gibson-Long is starting, and he looked bad, like just straight up, like couldn't locate at all. Judge gets 2 homers off of him. Stanton gets 1. Okay, but AJ left him in for the 4th inning when, if we are really trying to win that game, don't start him in the 4th inning, and then he gives up. He left on more runners, and the bullpen came out, and those runners scored. Right? I joked in the Discord, like, this is just tryouts for the playoff bullpen roster. So I kind of see that, and like one of the games against the Mets was something similar, where could have pulled a guy or couldn't. Why bring in this guy? So yeah, it's just weird.
particularly with starting pitching too. Or I could see an argument where maybe somebody like Gibson Long probably isn't going to make the playoff roster. Hinch has to make decisions. I'm going to need all these Class A arms that we have. Class A was a very poor way to say that. All these high leverage arms.
I'm glad I
in
wasn't the only
October.
one who noticed that.
The point being, I want to save my best arms for keep some bullets for October. I'm not going to throw this guy in the 8th inning of this game in September. That again, if we win 94 games instead of 91, who cared? Point being, just we'll let the starter go a little bit longer because we want to save some of these relievers, not just to give a tryout or see what somebody can do, but the alternative of like, as a guy who watched his best bullpen in baseball deteriorate over the course of 2 weeks because they were used too much in October last year, I could see the wisdom in that.
Yeah, I hope that that's kind of the plan in terms.
Right.
If we're looking at the playoff picture, we currently Mariners and Astros are tied for the 3rd division lead. Tigers have 3 games on them. I think they play later tonight, so that maybe that'll go to. I think this is taken before the Tigers won that game, so it'll be 3.5 now. If Marlins/Astros lose tonight, it'll go to 4 or 3, depending. Here's the thing: we have these series.
Astros already lost today.
Oh, nice.
Mariners are currently up 11-1 on the Angels, and the big dumper hit number 54.
Okay, so we'll still have 3 games over the Mariners then. Because we have the season tiebreaker over the Astros. We do not have that over the Mariners or the Rangers. So, also 3 games is not a hugest gap. Okay, it's 13 games left to play, but with the way the Tigers have been playing, and we play the Guardians 6 times, who I've said a lot about how we play the Guardians, and none of it is particularly good. So and if we don't get that bye, that's going to be very, it's a very different outlook for how the Tigers are going to play in the playoffs here. But yeah, it's just.
Is Tarek Skubal making his next start?
It's not officially confirmed, but it's said he's planned for it.
I wouldn't. I'm giving him a week off.
I would bet against.
Close.
Hinch could be doing the master tactician thing where he's like, oh yeah, he's going to start, and then like we get to the game and Tyler Holton starting or something.
Right.
Yeah. So for those not in the loop, partway through the 3rd inning, he was kind of having a bad start. He'd given up 3 runs, or 2 runs already, I think, at that point. The next one was inherited. Anyway, he'd given up like 2 or 3 runs. It was the 3rd inning. 4th inning, sorry. And I hear on the radio, oh, there's a trainer coming out. And then just, oh no, Tarek Skubal is coming out of the game with an injury concern, which immediate panic button, right? Because if Tarek Skubal can't pitch, we're done. Like
That's
the
it.
whole premise for can we win in the playoffs is, well, you're going to be having Tarek Skubal pitch 2 games in a 5-game series or whatever. That's the whole premise. But so if everything is fine, they were just being very overly cautious. I guess all the tests were negative, so it's probably just like a cramp or something
Right.
or whatever. But so now it's do you pitch him? Which, holy crap,
What
you
what
do
game
not
is
want him to get
he?
injured.
I'm assuming he's lined up for the Cleveland. What game is he lined up for?
Thursday, the 3rd one.
Okay, because if you want to just line him up for if he makes, I might have him just make 2 more starts. Both of those might be against the Guardians, and I might.
Those
just
are
skip
the
start.
2 series that he's slotted for 2 more starts, and they're both would be against Cleveland.
I predict Skubal is going to sit for one of those.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
2
shocked.
starts. I think that giving him a little rest and having a bullpen day is not the worst thing that could happen for the Tigers right now.
Do
You
you
are
do
right.
that immediately in the background of this kind of injury scare, or do you do it, Tarek, we're going to have you throw Thursday, put the Guardians in the grave, and then you get your next start off?
I would sit him for his next start and then just say, all right, we're going to have a little tune-up for October in your final start. And then, yeah.
There's
It's
Because
kind
as
of
much as I've been
interesting.
having fun with this 6.5 back with 6 games to play, like Tigers win 1 game
yep.
and
They just have to
it
not
just
get swept.
evaporates.
They just have to win at
Yeah.
like
Well,
2
not-
games out of the next 6
Yeah.
for against the Guardians, pretty much. Because our magic number is 7. Every time we win against the Guardians, that number goes down by 2. So
You guys need to win 1 out of 6 games, in my opinion. To
Yep. Well, like
pretty
not for
much
nothing.
secure it.
If it there's, I think Sam was hinting at, not even hinting, was saying this too. If Detroit wins the first 2 games of this Cleveland series, I'm skipping Skubal, like without easy decision.
Yeah.
If Cleveland has won those first 2 games, Scooby, you're pitching. You're going deep probably. Like we need this win. We can't let it be a sweep. It's probably how I would
one
handle
second. I'm just pulling something up because I wanted to confirm.
it. Also, can we talk about how ridiculous it is, Lee, while you're looking that up? That the logical part of my brain and what Cleveland has done to it, it's a 6-game lead with 2 weeks to go. And yet, there's the back of the mind. It's the effing Guardians. They're going to be right. They're not going to die because why would they? They're going to be right there the entire.
Eric, they're not making it.
I know they're not, but this is where the logical part of my brain and like the feelings part of my brain are not mashing up right now.
Last year we had 3 teams come out of the AL Central. This year there's going to be 1.
Can I say that there should have been 4?
That's yes.
You can say that.
That's a fair statement. But no, there's going to be. Again, it's free to say something, Eric. You can say anything.
All right, I just want to share my screen real quick because I want to have a calendar up.
Yep.
In order to, let's see. All right. So we got the calendar here. So let's assume the Tigers get the bye because they're in place for it right now. And the first game of the
Lee,
ALDS.
It's free to assume something.
Oh my god. You're awful. That's because if the season ended today, they would have the bye. So let's go off of that.
Okay.
That means Tarek Skubal would pitch on October 4th. Okay. His next 2 starts are slotted for the 18th and then probably somewhere around like the 23rd or 24th. And then he would sit for 10 days. I don't know how much do you take he's going to be sitting for 10 days. Is that something that you want necessarily?
Well, keep in mind, he's not just going to be sitting in the clubhouse playing poker. He's going to have bullpens. He's going to throw a simulated game. Like,
so I'm almost saying, would you have him if they don't win the first 2 games in they pitch, let's say he pitches the Thursday, instead of pitching on the 24th, he pitches like the 27th.
Sure.
get a second start in there, but not as
I think
Do
that's right.
something to get his final start closer to the end of the year so he isn't sitting as long without like
right.
game
Yeah,
speed.
that's
Yeah.
my point. Because you don't want him to risk injury, but you also don't want him cold. You know. But I don't know. I don't have the answers for that. Hinch has the answers to that. I'm sure he'll make the right decisions. It's kind of interesting to see if does he make his next start as he's projected to.
Well, also not for nothing. Like this is the season where this is the time of the year the manager cannot make a right decision in the fan base's eyes. It's either with these type of decisions, it's either you're not
Right.
trying to win every game, or you're trying to win every game too much, or you gotta do what you want. You've won the World Series before with an asterisk, but do what you think is needed.
Yeah. For the record, I'm going to be at the game on Wednesday. I'm going to be probably miss the first inning because I have class that gets out at 5, and then I get home at like 5:40, and it's like more than an hour drive. But I hope they win that day. I hope the Tigers win that day. That would be nice.
Yeah.
They have to win only one.
Right.
But let's see. I'm not going to lie and say that I'm not nervous about these because, crazier stuff has happened. A lifetime of Detroit sports has shown me that we can always lose in ridiculous ways. I mean, we blew a division lead in 2009 and then missed the playoffs. The stuff
Weird.
has
Who
happened.
made it that year?
Oh,
Wonder what happened. Anyway, I gotta bring it up. It's my last probably bit of joy for a minute. All right, let's talk about the schedule, shall we? I'm gonna add a little bit of a twist. There's 12 games left for pretty much every team. I want you to predict what their record is going to be in these last 12. So I'm going to go through the next 2 weeks, even though we kind of just went over Detroit. But then, just quick math, instant, less than 3-second answer. All right, so Detroit playing up Cleveland. We just talked about that. Atlanta, then at Cleveland, and then finishes the season at the Red Sox. Lee, 12 games. What's the record?
5-7. I think they're going to throw the last 2 games and not care about it.
All right. I like it. Guardians, Detroit, 3-4 with Minnesota. Detroit again, Texas. That is 13 games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14.
I got a couple of bonus games there.
They do.
I had it in my head and I lost it because you threw me off with how many games there are left. 10-4.
Wow.
We're going for it.
Go for it. Gas on the pedal. Love to see it.
It's 10-4.
10-4. Love it. Royals, Seattle, Toronto, at LA, at the Athletics. Sam.
So I'm gonna say the Royals are 75-75 as things stand. They're gonna go 7-5 and finish 82-80. That is my hope, and I want to play another real quick game with you guys.
Okay.
The game is called Since 1985, which the Royals won the World Series that year. How many winning seasons, 500 or better, have the Royals had in the last 40 years?
4.
5.
Okay.
So 14 and 15, the 2 World Series years. You guys made the playoffs one other time before that, if I'm not mistaken. You had that weird year in like 2003 when Tony Pena was managing the team and you guys were above 500 that year. So that's 4. Last year's 5. I'm going to guess there's one more thrown in there somewhere. I might have just blown this, but I'll guess 6.
All right. So the answer is actually 11.
Really?
I was
All
way
right.
off.
Yeah. So the Royals.
Sorry, we way underestimated you.
Yeah, we did.
That's fine. So 87, 88, 89, and 91, the Royals all had winning seasons. Didn't make the playoffs any of those years, but had winning seasons. Then 93 and 94 had a winning season. 2003, as Dan mentioned, winning season. And then 13, 14, 15, 16, they went 81 and 81. And then, of course, last year went 86 and 76 and made the playoffs. So as much as I wanted the Royals to make the playoffs, and as much as I think that was kind of the goal for this season. A winning season is not something that I'm going to be upset with. So
Sure.
the Royals go 7-5 in these last 12, and they finish 82 and 80 is my prediction.
Okay, the Twins. Oh, damn it. All right. Versus
Ready
the
to get swept
Yankees.
by the Yankees.
The Yankees, 4 for the Guardians, at the Rangers, at the Phillies. Honestly, if they go 2-10, or sorry, they have 13 games. So if they go, 2-11, I don't think that's unreasonable. Like, I think maybe 4-7 is probably more accurate, but
If you
God,
get like one against the Guardians, I'm asking for one game. I'm not going to.
I can't promise anything.
Just get one of those doubleheader games, right? Because it's really hard to sweep a doubleheader. Can you get that one?
So there's one other bullpen worse than the Twins, and it's the Rockies, and they don't have Coors Field to blame. So Lee, I have bad. We'll try. Like I'll send a message to the boys. We'll see what we can do. But I don't like your chances.
Also, can I make a joke about the Tigers being the only team to not roll over and die for the Yankees? Because eat it.
Well, the Twins have been doing that for my entire lifetime. So
Hey, I'm just saying.
take your brag while you can.
Yeah, if we take it. Anyway.
All right, the White Sox, the Orioles, Padres, at the Yankees, at the Nationals. I don't know. Do we? Honestly, they might go 500. Baltimore's under.
We all guess on this one.
Yeah, why not?
That's how we're
I'm going to go
that,
500.
It's 12,
What Nationals
right?
aren't that great. I think they'll take one from New York. San Diego, we'll see, and I think they'll win against Baltimore.
I think they'll go 5-7. I'm gonna say. I think they can win the series against either the Nationals or the Orioles, and they'll get one from the Padres there.
I predicted that the White Sox would avoid losing 100 games this year, which would be an accomplishment for them.
Yep.
So I think they're going to go 7-5 in this stretch and finish the season. Avoiding 100 losses.
And like a 20-game improvement. But
Yeah.
All right, let me stop sharing my screen there so we can do playoff prediction, or not playoff predictions. Wow. Okay.
Maybe hold off on those for a couple of weeks.
Well,
Can I do a quick aside before we go into predictions?
Yep.
Lee, you're not involved in this conversation.
Well,
who are we rooting for?
One sec. Let's make that official. Okay, go. Okay, she's not here anymore, guys. It's boys' time.
Oh,
Let's
man.
do this. Let's talk all the trash you want.
Who are we rooting for in the playoffs?
I mean, honestly, probably the Tigers, because I don't know. I don't know who else I would go for.
I'm rooting for the Guardians. I don't know about you guys, but beyond that, in the world where that doesn't happen, which I understand is less likely, Toronto and then Detroit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I would have to say, really, for me, the teams that are in the playoffs this year are a pretty good, variety of teams. I would say basically anyone outside of, the Blue Bloods of the Yankees, the Red Sox,
Sure,
the Astros, the Dodgers. I'm pretty much. I think this year there are a lot of teams who are going to make it who are, teams who you don't typically think of competing for the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing the Brewers. I wouldn't mind seeing the Tigers. I wouldn't mind seeing the Blue Jays. So. I think there's a pretty good wealth of teams who aren't typical.
Boy, that's tough. Because now I was going to say, I wouldn't mind it if the Mets won it. Like, if for a National League team.
Oh, no.
Just
No.
because I also live in New York, and to see the Yankee fans cry because the Mets did something that the
Oh.
Yankees like that brings me personal joy. So like I'm kind of going for that. But saying the Brewers, that would warm my heart.
Yeah.
I like the
Anyway.
Brewers too.
Anyway, hey Lee, you didn't hear any of that,
Hi.
right? We had a secret boys club meeting.
Yeah, it was very secret. Yeah, I'd say if I had to pick from either side, not the Tigers, like I like the Blue Jays would be nice,
Mhm.
and then from I don't know from the National League side, as long as it's not like the Dodgers, because I think any of the teams that are in the playoff picture, I'm like, yeah, good for you. Like the Mets, the Phillies. I like the Phillies for some reason. I know a lot of people don't really, but I like
Yeah.
the Phillies.
And most of the teams who are the front runners, specifically the Tigers, the Blue Jays, the Brewers, those are teams who either haven't won in a while or have never won.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Let me. Okay. So. Oh, I am sharing this. Good. Right. No. Now I'm sharing this. God, I'm such an old man right now. Jesus Christ. Okay. So we have really just 2 series to go over. We have Cleveland at Detroit and Cleveland at Minnesota. Versus Detroit. Let's start off with Cleveland and Minnesota, even though I'm pretty sure I'm doing those out of order, just to set up the drama. So, Lee, Cleveland, Minnesota. Who you got?
Yeah, I'm not picking. I think I said last. I'm not picking the Minnesota anymore. It's Cleveland. I don't believe the Twins can win.
Not even a split?
Nope.
All right.
I do think they'll take one though. I do think Minnesota will like get out one of those doubleheader games.
Fair enough. Sam,
I'll go with the split.
Dan.
Cleveland. By the way, I've decided to revise my 10-4 for the Guardians to 9-5. A person on this podcast reminds me that it costs nothing to revise things, so
Oh, I've
I'm going
heard
to do
that.
that in this case.
Boy, I don't know. Minnesota.
But yeah, Cleveland.
Minnesota has nothing to play for. It's going to be Cleveland. I almost should go split, but who knows?
I do think you guys will take one.
Right. I don't think it'll be a sweep, but I don't think that's not exactly a high bar to clear either. All right, second, Cleveland versus Detroit. Lee.
I'm going to be optimistic and manifest. I'm going to say Detroit is going to get 2 out of 3 here. I forget where we have pitching the first game, but game 3 is Flaherty. And then game 4 game 3 is scheduled to be Skubal. I don't know if that will stand, but okay, no, first game is Mize. So we'll have like actual starters. We're not going to have bullpen days. So
I like it. Sam.
Give me Detroit. They are famously, from earlier in the podcast, the best team in baseball. So
This is true. It's been a while, so we dusted that one off. So, Dan.
Real question here is how insufferable do I really want to be?
So insufferable. Like, go for the
I've
jugular.
been very insufferable.
I've made a big deal out of at the end of May. Eric Skubal started a game in Comerica against the Cleveland Guardians. The Guardians had won the first 3 games of that 4-game series, and that game that Skubal started, he pitched a complete game shutout. Really seemed to kind of change the course of the season for the Guardians' offense. It's been, if not the worst, one of the worst offenses in baseball ever since. The Guardians are going to win the first 2 games of this series, which is going to force AJ Hinch's hand into starting Tarek Skubal in the 3rd game of the series. The Guardians are going to exercise those demons at Comerica. They're going to score more runs than Skubal is going to throw innings. And the Guardians are going to sweep Detroit this week.
Wow.
And continue to put the fire to Detroit down the stretch.
So if Detroit wins and there's no sweep, do we take off?
By the way,
no.
By the way, also pigs are flying outside my window right now.
I was about to say.
I was just about to say, Dan, I like your commitment to this bit.
In 2 starts against Cleveland this season for Tarek Skubal, he has thrown 16 innings and 23 strikeouts, 0 runs.
I like that.
So he's
the only predicted sweep on the entire chart here is this one. I'm sticking with it. I
Oh,
think
I
the
think we
Guardians will win the
predicted
series.
sweep. I just want to put it on here just so we remember this next time. I'm going for Cleveland because I just no, well, I guess I'm not going to predict a sweep. I'm not that bold, but I also just want it to be somewhat entertaining, and it just seems like that is what Cleveland does. Is they want to be the most annoying team to not die going into the last year or going into the last couple games. That's what they do every year. Make you sweat, and then yeah.
Well, I'm going to the game on Wednesday. I am 1 for 3 this season so far, so let's make it 2 and 4.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
But I think with that, I think that'll do it for a time. We'll be here next week, and then we'll see if Lee has any hair or if she goes like crazy and like shaves half her head because the Guardians sweep the
And you
Tigers.
joke, but I'm getting a haircut like next week or so.
Oh,
So
go invest in a bald cap, like, and then
oh
just
yeah,
like...
there we go.
All right, with that, talk to you guys later.